Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well. So, in this session we will continue with this economic evaluation techniques, and in our last session as we learned that there are primarily 4 types of economic evaluation techniques, and I'll just give you a a brief background that economic evaluation tries to understand the efficiency of a particular health process. Economic evaluation is mostly used in health sciences, yeah, to understand the most optimum technique or process out of different alternative choices what we have. So given the inputs and the outputs, we have several processes. We have choice of drugs, hospitals, providers, treatment techniques, and then based on my cost and the effectiveness of each of all these processes, alternative processes or choices, I will try to select the best one, which will be most kind of most efficient for me, either minimizing cost, maximizing benefit, or otherwise either in terms of this allocative technical efficiency, or in terms of allocative efficiency where my distribution gives me the perfect or the best output, having a budget constraint. Therefore, once we try to understand the effectiveness of different health processes, and we try to do select a particular one when we compare them based on the cost as well as this effectiveness, we have 4 this thing, right, techniques. The first one is cost minimization technique. What we learned in cost minimization technique is when we have idea about the health outcomes or health processes, but the health processes are absolutely, I mean, the effectiveness are very similar, very uniform, right? All the processes or all the alternatives, the effectiveness is absolutely same. Yeah, so that's the assumption we take, and then we just try to understand which has a minimum cost, and we select that. Number 2 is cost benefit analysis. If now we can estimate our effectiveness in terms of monetary values, so if we can estimate the benefit, especially cost is monetary value, benefit, if we can estimate them in terms of monetary values, then we do a cost benefit analysis, yeah. And then the third one is cost effectiveness analysis, where we estimate the effectiveness in terms of a numerical figure, and then we try to form a decision rule based on the incremental cost effectiveness ratio, that is how much the change will, how much change in the cost will take place based on 1 unit change in, or 1 unit more effectiveness. And these effectiveness are often measured in terms of simple glucose level, the maybe the blood pressure, sugar level, diabetes, these hemoglobin level, and all these things. And it can eventually be measured in terms of quality adjusted life years, disease adjusted life years, that to get one disability adjusted life years, to get 1 unit DALY or 1 unit QUALY, whatever. But what amount of cost I extra need to incur. But at the same time, when we talk about QUALY and DALY, we basically attach it with cost utility analysis, especially in cost of utility analysis. My effectiveness is measured in terms of utility, and then it is measured in terms of QUALY, yeah, quality adjusted life year, and that is my utility, like a kind of assumption based or abstract value of utility measurement when it is attached with the health or the improvement in quality in terms of life years. Therefore, these are the 4 basic economic evaluation techniques. We have learned yesterday cost effectiveness analysis and cost minimization analysis. Today we will learn more about, or start learning about, first cost utility analysis and then cost benefit analysis. Okay. Now, what is cost utility analysis? Cost utility analysis is when my effectiveness can be measured in terms of utility. Yes, and again this utility out of several comparative measures, like I can get a level of utility from process A, I can get a different level of utility from process B. Maybe process A and process B has two different costs associated with that, and then based on those costs I will try to understand that how far I am gaining my utility. It can be from a particular treatment a medicine, it can be out of a particular or completion of a treatment process, or it can just be kind of medical care, or kind of trauma management, kind of palliative care, that is that even it takes the psychological treatments. So they are getting, because that's the process, or just the kind of time they are getting from the doctors, so. And this all can be estimated in terms of the patient satisfaction or utility measurement finally, yeah. But otherwise, in a holistic form, when we try to estimate the health outcomes overall in terms of utility, we generally measure it in terms of QUALY. QUALY again is quality adjusted life years. Very difficult to quality adjusted but it is very difficult to measure, because often people, it's again a imperfect market, and people don't have much idea about the the qualities, about the not only quality of the life, the quality of the services, what kind of services they are being given, what is the different components of those services. So they really don't have much idea, and then the collecting the data is often very difficult, and in countries like India or any developing countries where data has been a scarcity, it's very difficult to estimate QUALY. But then the best alternate measure is DALY, disability adjusted adjusted life years. Otherwise, there is HY, health year in equivalents and all this, that for a particular treatment, how many years you have got. But these are the main two estimates, QUALY and DALY, which is used worldwide, and is most used, of course. Yeah. So can identify this can identify only relatively large amount of changes or individual health status. That's primarily because slight change, maybe my utility, my satisfaction doesn't really change, or the years I get, life years, the change in terms of the life years are really not meaningful. If it is one day, doesn't really make sense, to estimate a QUALY or DALY, because when we are estimating in terms of years, the value of one day, where the unit, the value is so low that it really doesn't make much sense. So therefore, we estimate QUALY and DALY for a larger period of time, for a particular individual or a group of individuals, or a country at the individual micro level as well as the macro level. And when the change, the effectiveness is really large, relatively large as compared to effectiveness. Effectiveness we can go, estimate even the small changes, but over here it really doesn't make sense. We can estimate, but very difficult to estimate, and so small the estimates in terms of the units given for these particular measurements are doesn't really make sense. So how we estimate? First we will try to understand that how we estimate QUALY, and then probably we will go to DALY. So when we estimate QUALY, quality adjusted life years, yeah, say I will try to estimate, I will try to show this in terms of diagram, but in QUALY, as we said last day, that more the QUALY, better the health, because more the satisfaction, better is the health, right? QUALY better is health. So therefore, let us see diagrammatically how we can present that. Let's draw a graph. yeah, and maybe this is 0 and this is 1. That means my health utility or QUALYs values will fall within the range of 0 and 1. Yeah, and then it can be estimated in terms of months or years. Years it's often difficult to to accumulate, and then again the recall period and all being large, so often the patients do not really remember, or the hospital statistics may not be collated well. So months or years, yeah. So whatever, we are taking the example of months here, and as I said that over here it will be, let us take that this is still 12 months during a particular year, yeah. Every unit is 1 month, 2 months, 3 months and so on, and then we have seen for a particular individual that the for 4 months the QUALY was something like 0.8. So here was the point, 0.8 and 4 months, yeah. That same person, he for the till 10 months, his QUALY was, so I will just write down here 0.8, his QUALY was 0.5. Here, and then for the last 2 months of the year his health deteriorated and his QUALY was 0.3. Right. So this is, you can see this is kind of a indifference curve, isn't it? But it's not basically like that here. This is just graphical explanation about how it can eventually come in and all, yeah. So when the month increases, how their QUALY is falling, yeah. It can eventually increase, like so it's not like an basic indifference curve, because here I am estimating the utility, not here, yeah. So what I am doing over here is, now given this diagram, I will try to estimate QUALY. So in this, my QUALY is equals to, you can see 0.8, and the person's QUALY for 0.8 was for 4 months, and 0.5 was 6 months, and 0.3 was for 2 months, right? Therefore, if I try to take an estimate, or so what we'll do, 0.8 into 4 plus 0.5 into 6 plus 0.3 into 2. This is the total QUALY for 12 months. I will take an average, isn't it? Yeah, divided by 12, right? You can, if otherwise, like this is the total and I took the average of this total, right? Or if you feel you will write like that, then 0.8 into 4 by 12, the proportion of the year, right? 0.5 into 6 by 12 plus 0.3 into 2 by 12, whichever form you feel is good, So, and then you can estimate 3.2 plus 3, 6.2 plus 0.6, 6.8 by 12 is the total QUALY, right? So, okay, this is kind of a, here we are not actually seeing that it is gradually going down, we are trying to get a point estimate. A simple example will take when it is gradually coming down, yeah, not like distinct points, yeah. So what we see when the in a particular person's health utility is gradually coming down, then let us take an example. Yes, again 1 to 0, right? Utility, this is my months or years, and let us say if this is still 12 months, in 3, 6, 9, maybe here on the 9th month, till 9th month, the this thing came down. So if it is 0.5 and this is 9 months, this is 0.5, yeah, and it came down from 1 to 0.5 gradually. Yes. And then what happened? Till the 12th month, this is 0.75, it increased. That's what I was saying, right? It is not a directly straight line, always downward like this, downward sloping. So it can also improve, right? So let us see how we will estimate. Yeah, this is the form. So when we try to estimate QUALY for this example, we estimate it like this is any time during 0 to 9 months. What is my average QUALY? I mean average utility. Any time during these 9 months, my average utility will be 1 plus 0.5 divided by 2. Therefore, this is 1 plus 0.5 divided by 2. Yes, something where it is like the average utility in the 4.5th month or something like that, into, if I am taking that one, 9 by 12, or you can just keep 9 and then divide it by 12, plus over here during these 3 months, what is the average utility? 0.5 and 0.75. 5 plus 0.75 by 2 into 3 by 12, or you can remove this by 12 and can write just 9 and 3 total divided by 12, right? Because you are taking the average value for a particular year, because it is generally given in a form of time period, or in a particular time period, average number of year. Yes, so therefore this is what we do in terms of QUALY in quality adjusted life years. But as I say again that while we don't have much idea, it's very difficult to estimate the utility. So it's not that recommended over DALY. So now if DALY is recommended, let's learn what is DALY. Yeah, so DALY is disability adjusted life years. Yes, it has got two components. One is YLL, another one is YLD. YLL is years of life lost due to a specific morbidity or disease. Yeah, they are synonymous. And YLD is years of life lost due to death over here. Yeah, sorry. So due to death, years of life lost due to death because of a specific morbidity, and years of life lost due to that morbidity, due to a specific morbidity. Years of life, or years of life lived with disability due to a specific morbidity. So this is years of life lived with disability, that's also not desired. Yeah, and years of life lost due to the death. Yeah, so now why these measures are important? What happens is, let us take an example that a government gives me 100,000 rupees and says that you have to improve the health of this society. Now when we talk about cost effectiveness analysis, this is primarily mostly utilized in pharmaceutical organizations and all, because it looks at the even smaller changes, but where this QUALY and DALY is mainly with the policy level. It encompasses a larger sphere, larger number, larger time, larger sphere of population, all this. So government gives me 100,000 rupees and says that you have to improve the quality, the health status. So then I said with 1 lakh rupees or say 1 crore, whatever, it is very difficult to now. There are several problems, and then it is difficult. There is undernutrition, and there is anemic problem, undernutrition among children, anemic problem among the mothers. There are HIV/AIDS, or so which one should I concentrate, because with this fund I cannot really or awareness generation programs for a particular sanitation, say. So and then I said that which one should I focus. Then the government says, you figure out, this is your area, right? So then what I will try to do is I will try to estimate a QUALY or DALY. Yes, because of which particular program or which particular problem, not program, which particular problem, what is the total life lost due to premature death, this one. Yes, and life lost due to disability of the diseases, because the years lived with the disease. Isn't it? So these are the two components, and if I can estimate, and for which the DALY is more, that is more dangerous. So on the contrary to this QUALY, if in QUALY we have said more quality and better health, over here more DALY means poorer health, right? More QUALY, better health. QUALY is satisfaction, more satisfaction, good. More DALY is disability, right? Disability adjusted life years. So more DALY, poorer health. Okay. Now let us see that how we estimate these disadjusted life years. Disability adjusted life years. First we will try to estimate YLL. Very simple. We have found that in a particular area, among a particular population, or for a particular, let's take very simple example, yeah? Or for a particular individual, that person passed away in the age of 60 years, so death at 60 years maybe because of any cardiovascular disease, right, heart attack or something, yeah. However, the life expectancy for that area, that population or population cohort is a group of people sharing some common feature, common characteristics. Often it is estimated in terms of a birth cohort, that everybody in a particular group of people in a particular say class, academic class, everybody is from a same year of birth or close by. So that is a birth cohort. Yeah. So life expectancy for that population is 67. So one is 60 years, he passed away. However, he was supposed to live for 67 years. If the life expectancy is 67 years. So what is the years of life lost? Simple, 67 minus 60, that is 7 years. Yes, very simple. Years of life lost because of premature death, because of death before the life expectancy. If the person dies after life expectancy, no problem, right? Because he has lived his quota. The average expected life. The next is YLD. This is years of life lost due to or years of life lived with disability. How do we calculate that YLD? That's primarily because as a part of how many years of life they have lived with this disability, and then we estimate, say I should have mentioned this is YLL straight away plus A into YLD. Yes, A is my disability weight. A is my disability weight, and it varies from 0 to 1. Yes. So, A, the value of A varies from 0 to 1. So, what is, if A is equals to 0, what does that mean? That means that the person has no disability, perfect health. Yes. What is 1? If A is 1, then the person is living with absolute disability. Maybe a chromatic condition or something like that, completely dependent, no movement or something like that. So, that is 1. But the value of A varies from 0 to 1. The more the severe the problem is, more it closes towards 1. If it is a simple problem, say the fever or something, it is very close to 0. Or if say a person living with cancer or in the different stages of cancer, of course this may change, but we generally keep it simple, So, for a particular disease, we just not for many diseases we have this the value of A based on the severity. And how how we have found this value of A? Due to severity, out of a simulation process, looking at several people, several population over the years, and then try to understand that what is the severity score or this disability weight for a particular disease or disability or morbidity, whatever you say. Therefore, YLD is basically the proportion of life, so A basically says the proportion of life he lived with that particular disease, and then that shows how severe was it. So, if I say 50% of last 8 years, 50% is the disability weight, and the person was suffering from cardiovascular disease for the last 8 years of his life, then we will say this is basically A into 8 years, right? 8 years. Now, say for that particular cardiovascular disease problem, my A value is 50%, right? 50% means 0.50 into 8. So, 4 years that person has lived with that disability. That out of those 8, 4 years he has lived with the disability. 4 years he has not lived with the disability. Even if even if I have a pain, I don't feel the pain, or I won't say that because I have pain, my life is gone. It's not like that. So that's how we just try to adjust it. So so now my total DALY is YLL, which is 7 years, plus YLD, which is 4 years. So, 7 plus 4 is 11 years. Now, say you have got this DALY for CVD, you will get a DALY for maybe HIV, you will get a DALY for child underweight problem. Yeah, you have got a DALY from sanitation problem, awareness generation of sanitation problem. Now, how do we measure that? So if that awareness generation is not there, how many diarrheas are happening, how many people are dying, so together that's not for a particular person's right person, so it's for a community. It can be summing up the individual DALYs, you can do that, but eventually it may not be like that. Now this is a very simple formula of DALY. But the our formula for DALY will remain the same, that it incorporates the YLL and YLD, years of life lost and years of life lived with disability. But at the same time, if we adjust these YLL and YLD in terms of the discount rate and with the age weighting, say different age has different severity, and the age at death or the standard life expectancy again varying from different, so that can be taken care of this. But when we talk about discount rate and age weighting, then we have a formula which is, if my discount rate, I'll just first try out my discount rate is R, age weighting is B, A is age at death, L is standard life expectancy, at age A when the person is dying. Yeah, age weighting is B and K. Yeah, A is age at death. Yeah, so that's all. So how? So what does this K means? When K is 0, then uniform age weights. When R equals 0, then we are not doing any discounting of, discounting effect of the disability on the life years. Yeah, so this is all. And then how we estimate this YLL and YLK. YLL is K to the power RA yeah, and plus 1 minus K by R to 1 minus e to the power minus RL. So I'll just check the formula, L plus A minus R plus B, L plus A minus 1 minus this plus, yeah, perfect. Yes, and whereas this YLD is, this is the disability, and then the rest are same. Yeah, so this component, I will just mark this component as tau, the rest are same. Yes, so this is how we estimate this, so it is, the bracket closes here. The bracket closes here. Yeah. Okay. So this is about how we estimate years of life lost and years of life death. And once you have got an idea about the years of life lost and years of life lived with disability, then you have got disability adjusted life years. And once you have got the disability adjusted life years for different diseases, then the unit remains same. And different programs, the unit remains same, the unit remain years or months in terms of DALY, or you will say that the amount of DALY, the DALY is 5, the DALY is 7, the DALY is 11. That is the standard way of saying this. And then you can actually try to compare between all the interventions, and then give your justifications that how you want to use the money and where exactly. Thank you.